Classic Car TV.
Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of Haggerty Classic Car TV. I am pumped for Halloween. Let's check the news.
It's time for news.
New Jersey Governor Chris Christie and race officials on Tuesday confirmed that the state will host a Formula One race, named the Grand Prix of America, at Port Imperial in June 2013. The Port Imperial location, a ferry terminal, is just across the Hudson River from Manhattan. Have you ever wanted a VW camper van, but didn't have the cash to make your dream a reality? Monster Factory's VW camper van exact scale replica tent allows you to camp in stylish 60s era comfort for only $461, plus $77 for overseas delivery. Check out themonsterfactory.com for details. This week we premiere a new feature we call Stump the Specialist, featuring our very own answer man, Glenn Arlt. An anonymous Haggerty customer writes in online, I have a 65 Vet in storage. Unfortunately, I let the gasoline stay in my tank for 8 years. I think it turned to another compound. What remedy is there to clean it out of the tank and fuel line at this point? Glenn?
The remedy is to drop the tank, have it professionally cleaned, go through the entire fuel system, and also rebuild the carburetor and replace the fuel filter. But in reality, cars are meant to be driven, and Haggerty allows that. So enjoying the car a little bit will help that process not to occur. But what also is needed is a fuel stabilizer, such as Stabil or Startron, and I use those myself. They're excellent stuff.
This week we've got a 1959 John Deere 435 diesel hanging around in the offices. Bet you didn't know Haggerty's into tractors, too. This week's ride-along is in something a little bit less powerful.
All right, for this week's ride-along, I'm filling in for Matt Richmond, who's out getting a shave and a haircut, and I'm here with Rob Sass, and we're standing next to this cute little 1967 Sunbeam Minx. Rob, tell me a little bit about this car.
Oh, this car was a product of the Roots Group in England. The Roots Group owned brands like Hillman, Sunbeam, Singer, and Humber. Not exactly household words here, and Sunbeam was not affiliated with the appliance company, and Singer was not the sewing machine company, although if you look at the tiny little motor in some of these cars, it's easy to see how you might draw that sort of sewing machine connection. These cars were really actually pretty popular in the U.S. in the 1950s and the early 60s. This car was known as the Hillman Minx in the U.S. every year from the 1950s until this car was built in 67.
So 67 only is a Sunbeam.
Yep.
So, you know, what's neat about this car, I think, is you don't see many of them on the road. You know, I can't think of how many I've seen at car shows over the years. I mean, I can count on one hand.
Well, you know, they're really affordable, and you're right, you don't see them very often. The survival rate of these things, I think, in the U.S. is pretty small. They attract a lot of attention, and let's face it, I mean, you said it earlier, the thing is cute. It's like like a French bulldog puppy. Collectability-wise, I mean, some of the convertibles, the Hillman Minx convertibles and the Singer and Sunbeam convertibles are actually pretty collectible right now, but the four-door sedans, fairly affordable. So it's a great first collector car, you know, one that you can fit 3 friends in, have a great time with, and not spend a ton of money.
So tell me what it's like to drive this.
Well, it's not about going fast in one of these. It's got a single carb version of the same motor that was in the Sunbeam Alpine, which was not a notoriously fast sports car either. So, I mean, you could pretty much race, say, a VW Beetle flat out and nobody would know you're racing. It's really maneuverable. It's got a short wheelbase. You know, it's actually a nice handling car. It's got good brakes and a really smooth ride, and really just a fun car to tool around town in with a couple of friends.
So I feel like I should be wearing a tweed cap driving around a windy cobblestone street in some town in England that ends in Ham or Shire. It's everything Rob Sass said it was. It's comfortable, it holds the road well. The brakes and the automatic transmission are surprisingly good. You're not going to win any drag races by any means, but it's a fun car. You know, for something I've never driven before, I'm pleasantly surprised.
So that's it for this week's episode of Haggerty Classic Car TV. Tune in next week, sign up for alerts, and have a great Halloween.